Hello, it's John Heaton, and today I'm joined by my son Richie, and we're going to do another joint video. We did one a few months ago covering the McCartney album Memory Almost Full, and this time we thought we'd do one which perhaps takes me slightly out of my comfort zone. It's one of Richie's specialist topics, which is Led Zeppelin, and we've chosen the third album, Led Zeppelin 3, to do. Here's our copy of the vinyl, well, Richie's copy. Or is it my copy? My copy.
It's my copy, I think. But
okay.
Not sure.
All right. We've both got it. And then this is the CD with the bonus companion audio, which we'll also talk about. So just by way of introduction, this album was recorded November 69 through August 1970, released on the 5th of October 1970, which incidentally is my brother's 5th birthday. Not that he's made the connection, probably. Recorded partially on the Rolling Stones mobile recording unit in Headley Grange, Hampshire, and also Olympic Studios in Barnes. And I was interested to see that the Stones and Led Zeppelin tended to record at Olympic, whereas the Beatles and ex-Beatles and Pink Floyd tended to record at Abbey Road. That was just something I noticed. So the number one in the UK, number one in the US, number one in Canada, number 3 in the Netherlands, number 4 in France, number 1 in Italy.
I think it was one of the most anticipated albums of 1970 as well. And I think it did top the UK and the US charts. I'm not completely sure yet.
Yeah.
And then I think maybe Island Studios was used as well for recording sessions as well. I read about that just now. Those are the 2 London studios used, and then I don't know how much of the recording took place at the Rolling Stones mobile studio, but some of it, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, this album design is quite interesting because it comes out. Well, first of all, there's a wheel which you can spin, and the pictures rotate.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, you can see that.
It's quite a creative album cover. I'm not a huge fan of the actual album cover, but the fact that they've got this wheel spinning around and you can see like the holes and the pictures in there, which is quite good.
Yeah.
With the different members of the band in each hole. Oh, this is the same hole actually, and you just spin it around.
By the way, I was reading in France that the front cover was
I think that would have been a better front cover actually.
Well, in France
cover.
It was. They ignored this, or maybe it was too expensive for them.
Doesn't look very good, does it, the front cover?
Well, I think, as you say, quite innovative to have the wheel and stuff. But yeah, I mean, on first glance, certainly on CD, it doesn't look very good. But on vinyl, I think it's quite nice. Designed, by the way, by someone called Zacron, I think, who was at the Kinks College of Art, student there. And whereas Hypnosis would go on to design many of their later album covers, such as House of the Holy, Presence, and In Through the Outdoor, at least those 3. So yeah, I was reading that this album was viewed as a kind of venture into more acoustic territory. Would you agree with that versus the first 2?
I think most of the acoustic stuff was written in Bron-Yr-Aur, that cottage they had. Plant and Page wrote most of the songs. I think all of the songs, yeah. And one of the songs I think is from the Yardbirds era. Tangerine, I think, and that's the way it's written. Well, the lyrics are written by Plant. It's one of I don't know if it's one of the first songs he wrote lyrically, but he only just started writing lyrics in the previous album, I think. And I read somewhere that Page was quite complimentary about his lyrics on That's the Way.
Yeah. So
yeah, most of it was written there, the acoustic parts. But Bron-Yr-Aur is mentioned on this album as well, Bron-Yr-Aur Stomp, and it's mentioned on Physical Graffiti as well, just the cottage area, or the place, I don't know, what is it?
Yeah, it's a cottage in Wales, and it means breast of the gold.
Yeah.
And certainly a lot of songs were written there. I don't think there was a recording studio there from what I can remember.
No, it's just a cottage, I think, where they wrote the songs, yeah.
All right, so we've talked about the packaging.
Let's get on to the songs.
The songs, yeah. Immigrant Song, I think it's one of my favourites of all their catalogue, actually. I think it's a storming rocker.
Yeah, it's a very powerful rocker with great bass, very precise playing, good instrumentation. I think the drumming and the bass and the guitar just mould together very well. It's a very powerful song.
Yeah.
And it's used in School of Rock as well, for those who've seen that movie. Jack Black does like this scene where he's singing the first verse of that song. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And it's actually inspired by a short tour they had in Iceland, and it's got all these kind of Viking references, so the Viking invasion of England, you know, Valhalla and Hammer of the Gods and stuff like that. It's pretty good. Oh, it's really good actually. It's one of their best songs, to be honest. Great opener as well.
Yeah, everyone talks about Whole Lotta Love as one of their best rockers, but apart from the riff on that song, I think it has all these long interludes in the middle which get a bit repetitive or dreary. I think this is a more successful song, in my opinion. And when the levee breaks from the following album as well, I would prefer to Whole Lotta Love. I don't know where it stands in your list of rockers.
It's one of my favourites. It is quite similar in terms of, like, it's got this kind of repetitive, I wouldn't call it a riff, but, you know, this kind of, it's a similar song, but it's a lot better, I think, than Whole Lotta Love.
Okay, it was released in the US as a single, got into the top 20, I think around about number 16 I was reading, which brings us on to the second track, which is pretty acoustic, written by Paige Plant as well.
Yeah.
And
interesting how they have an acoustic song right after the rocker. It's kind of, well, I don't know if it's supposed to be, you know, having kind of dividing the songs of rockers and then acoustics. It's not like that, the album, because there's one acoustic on the first side and then the whole of the second side is acoustic pretty much. And it's got, I think the vocals put me off to start with, because Plant's like high-pitched vocals put me off in general for Led Zeppelin in the first place, but then I really got to like it later. It's got some atmospheric strings on it as well. It's a good song overall, I think. It's not one of the best ones on the album, but it's a solid second song, you know.
yeah, I quite liked it, but nothing outstanding for me. Celebration Day is a good rocker again.
I would say that's another one of those
draw,
like, yeah, I was going to say it's like one of those rockers which is, you know, not forgettable, but it's not anything too special. Got a good riff. Yeah, it's a good rocker. It's just not, you know, lyrically it's not very strong, but not Led Zeppelin's not too strong lyrically anyway, so, you know, you can't really say that about this song either.
Yeah, co-written Paige Plant and Jones, this one. Same with Since I've Been Loving You, which is obviously based on a traditional blues chords, apparently written back in '69. I love the guitar solo on here. I know we've heard blues songs done to death over the years by various people, but you don't particularly like it for that reason,
I'm not a huge fan of this song either. It sounds like I'm not a huge fan of the album, but I do actually like this album a lot. This song is just, I think it just goes on too long. It's 7 minutes long. Even for a blues song, for me it's a bit too long, and it's like a half an hour version of this song on the live album they have.
What song remains the same?
Song Remains the Same, yeah, I forgot the name, yeah. It's just too long, I think. It's got a great guitar solo in it, though. That's my favourite part of the song, obviously, because it's just a great guitar solo. And it shows that the band's got very good chemistry, and they gel well together on a song like this, so you can tell that. So I appreciate it for that fact.
Okay, so we're agreed, not a complete highlight, but not dismissible. Then we've got a track co-written with John Bonham. If he came up with those riffs, it's called Out on the Tiles.
Good drumming on this, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite an energetic rocker. I quite enjoy it. That's the closing side to side one. Anything else to add?
No, I think it's a pretty standard Led Zeppelin song. It's one of the ones I forget that's on this album, actually. But yeah, nothing really.
Okay. Turning over to side 2 of the vinyl, we have a traditional song arranged by Paige and Plant called Gallows Pole. Sounds like it was written about something gruesome in history, is it?
I don't know. I just know it's a traditional folk song, kind of redone by them. Right. It's got great tempo change towards the middle of the song. I'm not actually quite sure. Great instrumentation as well. There's banjo and mandolin on there. John Paul Jones is really kind of, well, showing his kind of multi-talented self on this album with this song as well. It's one of my favourites on the album as well. I didn't even know it was a cover actually before I looked into it. So yeah, it's one of the best ones. So
would he have played the bass line and then overdubbed his keyboards on top of that? Is how they used to work? Yeah. He would have recorded all the bits separately. And it's on the No Quarter Page and Plant 1994 album as well, this song. It's redone there. It's not particularly
better than the original, but it's on there. So he's got some stuff from Led Zeppelin 3 which isn't really represented that much.
Is that the only track on that album?
I think so. That's what I was thinking.
Strange choice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not one of the most obvious ones.
Okay, then we come on to Tangerine, which is a pretty decent ballad, and I was listening to that just a few minutes ago, and it slightly reminded me of No Quarter, the chords. Have I got that one right or not?
I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really sound like it.
There was something about the chords at the beginning which reminded me of some other famous song from their catalogue, and I couldn't put maybe in the comments if you could see which one I was trying to think of.
Yeah, this is the song written in '68 with the Yardbirds, or during when the Yardbirds were still together. It's got some pedal steel guitar on it. It's a very nice ballad. It was probably my favourite song on this album when I first listened to it. It's got some great vocals on it. It's not really it kind of is a harmony in the chorus as well. It's very nice. But yeah, and it was in their acoustic cassette as well from 1971 onwards for a few years, I think, and then 75 they brought it back for a kind of changed version of the song.
Right. And they would continue this acoustic style at least through Led Zeppelin 4 and Houses of the Holy, right?
Yeah, I was going to say how this album kind of started that Led Zeppelin kind of change in their music. They went from the first two albums being basically rock, just rockers on the albums, and they kind of incorporated this acoustic, a few acoustic numbers onto this album, and from this onwards we get Led Zeppelin 4 and we get Physical Graffiti, which are, they've got quite a few kind of acoustic, if not entirely acoustic tracks, but they incorporate acoustic elements into the tracks, and I think that's what made Led Zeppelin so, versatile, I think. So this album is one of the, main reasons for that, I think. So it's a quite groundbreaking album for that reason.
Yeah, I was reading the original review from Rolling Stone from 1970, and it was not too complimentary. It did say that they liked the track That's the Way, and they said actually it's the first Led Zeppelin song that has moved me. In fact, it's beautiful. And then they went on to quote the lyrics. Yesterday I saw you standing by the river. I read those tears that filled your eyes, and all the fish that lay in dirty water dying. Had they got you hypnotised? Quite good lyrics. Apparently they just came back from a walk, Plant and Page, and they sat down by the ravine with a guitar and a tape recorder and just...
Oh, okay.
Jimmy came up with the riff, the verse, the tune, and Plant improvised the words. And as you said earlier, I think Jimmy was quite impressed with Robert Plant's words and thought it was a bit of a breakthrough in their songwriting. So I thought, yeah, I like this song.
Yeah, I think it's about kind of problems in relationships and family problems. I think it's lyrically, strong for Led Zeppelin, for Plant to write this. It's nothing too amazing, but it is a very good ballad, I think. And then we go on to Bron Your Stomp, which I like this song, right? But again, it's not one of my favourites, I don't think, on the album, just because it's got a good beat to it, it's got good instrumentation again, and originally it was an electric arrangement, I think. But it's not one of those songs I turn to too often, to be honest.
Presumably written in the Welsh cottage with a name like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's obviously referencing that. Yeah.
And then the album finishes with "Hats Off to Roy Harper," which is kind of traditional song, kind of bluesish.
It's definitely the weakest track on the album, I would say. It's a cover of some Bucka White blues guy. I don't know exactly what it's a cover of, but it's not one of the strongest songs on the album, I think. They called it originally, I think it's credited to Charles Obscure on the original release of the LP. It's like some kind of in-joke with the band.
But do we know who that's supposed to be?
I don't know, to be honest. It's an in-joke. So, and they use this vibrato kind of amplifier on Plant's voice, which is amusing, I guess, throughout the whole song. But it kind of feels like an add-on, it's like it goes on for a bit and then just forgettable, I think. definitely
So
the weakest track.
as closers go on Led Zeppelin albums, it's
Not
either
on
this
the
one or
first
T for One, which is the worst,
T
right?
for One. I think T for One takes it for me. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Now,
overall,
let's talk about the 2014 reissue. I just want to mention, I think Jimmy Page did a superb job with these reissues. Each double CD comes with a companion audio of outtakes, and obviously a box set was released. And I seem to remember at the time, this is 6 or 7 years ago, reasonably priced in comparison to what people are charging nowadays, and good value for money, and very, very well produced and researched, more or less single-handedly, I think, by Jimmy Page. And the review of this album when it first came out was that the companion audio was easily the best of the three to date. And Richie mentioned that Bron Your Stomp was originally an electric song, and there's a song called Jennings Form Blues, which is the electric version of that song before it became acoustic. You've got a short acoustic blues at the end, Key to the Highway. You've got early versions of Out on the Tiles. You've got an instrumental version of Friends, an alternative take of Immigrant Song with some kind of psychedelic guitar, which is quite interesting.
okay.
I'm a big fan of these reissue series. And
Yeah, it's something different because you don't often get like extra material for just general re-releases of albums. I don't think. I mean, archive editions obviously for Paul
Yeah.
and stuff like that, but it's just interesting takes or different variations on songs. It's good to have them though, I think.
yeah, I quite enjoy hearing early takes of released songs, because quite often some of these other artists they'll just to include songs from the same period which maybe turned up on B-sides or got discarded. But I find these companion audios quite a good way of actually getting into the album as well, because you see the genesis of all the songs in question. And so I think Led Zeppelin and Bob Dylan are top of the class in terms of their archive releases. I think by quite a distance.
And reasonably priced as well compared to other people.
Yeah, taking everything into account, I think, yeah, including price, including quality, including packaging. Remember us seeing all the box sets of Led Zeppelin all those years ago and thinking, yeah,
Wasn't into Led
tempted.
Zeppelin at that stage.
No.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it took me a while to get into them, but
and we thought they were expensive at £100 each, but now
yeah, looking
a
back,
lot of the box sets are going for £200 each. So
yeah.
okay, well that was our take on Led Zeppelin 3, the third album in their catalogue, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.